I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't lived it myself. It started with a dusty VHS tape I found in my uncle's attic in rural Oregon, hidden in a locked trunk beneath a pile of old blankets. The label was faded, almost completely unreadable, except for the handwritten words, Async Footage Confidential, number 247. My uncle had disappeared in 1998. No body, no note, just vanished. He was a former government contractor who worked in experimental architecture. Whatever that meant. My family assumed he had either gone mad or run off to live off the grid. But when I pressed play on that VHS player I bought off Facebook Marketplace, I started to understand why no one ever found him. The screen crackled to life. A handheld camera, static, a fluorescent lit hallway, yellowed wallpaper, carpet stained with something dark, a man breathing heavily, whispering, "I can't get out. I've been walking for hours. It keeps shifting. I swear the rooms are moving." The next 30 minutes were a nauseating descent into what looked like an impossible space. Rooms that defied architecture, stairs that looped back on themselves, ceilings that opened into endless voids. At one point, the man, my uncle, judging by his voice, stumbled upon a room where the lights flickered in rhythm with his heartbeat. He screamed when he realized the carpet was breathing. Then the screen went black. Curiosity got the better of me. I uploaded a clip to Reddit under a throwaway account. Within hours, people from R Backrooms and R Creepy flooded my inbox. One user, No.6, claimed to have seen similar footage, said it was part of a lost project called Async Project KV31, a government experiment gone wrong. I dismissed him at first, until he sent me GPS coordinates. "Come alone. Don't tell anyone. Bring a flashlight and something to mark your path. If you hear static, run the opposite direction." The coordinates led me to an abandoned office park in northern Washington, a building half collapsed, overtaken by ivy and time. Deep inside, behind what used to be a server room, was a cracked wall, like someone had punched a hole through drywall. Beyond it was blackness. And that same yellow light from the VHS tape. My camera flickered. The battery drained from 80 to 5% instantly. I marked the wall with red chalk and stepped in. The back rooms were real. The air was stale, buzzing fluorescence above, miles of decaying carpet and walls. The back rooms weren't just some internet urban legend. They were a place, a trap. At first it was silent, eerily so. But then the hallway stretched. New doorways appeared behind me. Furniture blinked in and out of existence. I tried leaving breadcrumbs, coins, bits of torn fabric, chalk arrows. Every time I looped back, they were gone. That's when the voices started. My uncles, my own, other people, pleading for help. And the shadows, they moved when I didn't. I stumbled into a chamber labeled 14B. Inside was a table with dozens of photographs. Black and white stills of people staring directly into the camera. Their eyes were hollow, some were scratched out completely. On the wall, written in what looked like blood, "Every time you look back, you make it real." I heard footsteps behind me. I didn't turn around, but I felt it breathing on my neck. That place knew my mind. It twisted it. It showed me my childhood bedroom. Only the walls were warped and the door wouldn't open. It mimicked my dead mother's voice, soft and trembling. "You've always belonged here, darling. Just lie down. Let it end." I screamed and ran, but the rooms bent around me. I turned a corner and nearly fell into an open elevator shaft with no bottom. Inside, someone whispered, "You filmed this, remember? You were part of it too." I don't know how I got out. One second I was crawling through a duct filled with static and echoes. The next I was face down in the parking lot behind that abandoned building, fingernails torn, hair matted with dust. My phone was shattered, but the SD card survived. The footage is corrupted, glitching every few seconds, but it's there. The same yellow halls, the same inhuman growl echoing from somewhere below. I uploaded it to YouTube under the title, "Found Footage, The Backrooms is Real, Do Not Enter." Within hours it had over 300,000 views. Then it was taken down. Copyright claim by Async Research Initiative. That's not a real company. I checked. 2 nights ago, I woke up to my TV turning on by itself. Static. A whisper from the speakers. Tape number 248 ready for review. Then came the sound of footsteps from the hallway inside my apartment. Only I live alone. And now, every time I close my eyes, I'm back there. I feel the carpet under my knees. I hear the fluorescent lights buzzing. And worst of all, I think I left the door open. To this day, I still hear those footsteps behind me every time I close my eyes. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't lived it myself. They say curiosity killed the cat, but no one tells you what happens after the cat dies. I was working as a night security guard for a university in Pennsylvania, Wilburton Tech, a quiet engineering school with outdated buildings and half the campus still running on 1990s wiring. I took the job for the easy hours and solitude. My shift started at midnight and ended at 6 a.m. All I had to do was walk the halls, check for break-ins or students sneaking in to party, and report anything out of the ordinary. That was before I found room 119. It was a Wednesday night, around 2 a.m., and I was doing my usual patrol of the applied physics wing. The building was cold, built like a bunker, with concrete walls and cheap flickering fluorescents. I'd walked this road 100 times, but that night, something was off. There was a new hallway. I swear to God, it was never there before. I even checked the blueprints later. Nothing. But on that night, just past the vending machines, a narrow hallway stretched deeper into the building. The floors were different. Sickly yellow linoleum, stained like water damage. The lights buzzed loudly, so loud it made my teeth ache. I should have called it in. I should have walked away, but instead I followed it. At the end of the hall was room 119. The door was old, heavy wood, no window, a rusted keyhole, and a placard that looked like it had been painted over. I tried the handle. It was locked. Until it wasn't. Inside room 119, the air in the room was thick, like stepping into a sauna of dust and mildew. No windows, no furniture except a desk with an old TV set and a VHS tape labeled "Do Not Watch." Naturally, I watched it. The screen flickered, showing a surveillance feed of what looked like another room, also numbered 119, but it wasn't this one. The camera panned by itself, showing a man in a white lab coat pacing, muttering to himself. Then he stared directly into the lens and whispered, "You're not supposed to be here." The screen cut to black. Then something behind me whispered the same thing, right into my ear. "You're not supposed to be here." I spun around. The room was empty, but the door was gone. The back rooms beneath the school. I started pounding on the wall, screaming, but my voice didn't echo. It was swallowed by the room. I turned back to the TV. A new feed had started. It was showing Shmi, trapped in that same room. Only this time, there was someone else standing behind me. I didn't dare look. I ran. I slammed my body into the wall where the door had been, and I fell through. On the other side was something else. An endless stretch of rooms with yellow wallpaper, ceilings too low, fluorescent lights flickering like dying stars. That buzzing in my ears grew louder until I couldn't hear my own thoughts. It was the Backrooms. I wandered for hours, or maybe days. Time didn't work right down there. The worst part wasn't the rooms, it was the sounds. I heard whispering, like 100 people talking through cotton, footsteps that didn't belong to me, and someone knocking, softly, methodically, on the other side of the walls. Always 3 knocks. At one point, I passed a mirror propped against the wall. My reflection didn't move. It just stared at me and smiled. Then it whispered, "You're catching up to yourself." I stumbled into a massive, decaying auditorium, rows of metal chairs bolted to the floor, all facing a makeshift stage. On it, a figure stood behind a podium, hooded and motionless. The floor was covered in red chalk symbols. In the center, a hole, a black, bottomless pit surrounded by candles that burned with blue flame. On the walls were photos of me, sleeping, eating, staring into my phone, moments no one could have captured. A voice echoed from everywhere at once. "You opened the door. Now you belong to it." The figure behind the podium raised its hand and pointed directly at me. The exit, or so I thought. I ran, again, through hallways that shifted like living things. One corridor folded in on itself like a paper crane. Another smelled like copper and decay, with writing etched into the floor that said, "No exit is free." Finally, I found a stairwell. Crumbling concrete steps that led up and up and up. When I burst through a door at the top, I was back in room 119. The TV was off. The tape was gone. So was the hallway. I tried to tell someone, campus security, police, even the dean. They looked at me like I was insane. When I returned the next day, there was no room 119. The wall was solid concrete. And when I checked the building plans, the physics wing ends at room 117. There never was a room 119. But last night, I woke up to a soft buzzing sound. The air in my apartment smelled like mildew and old carpet. I looked out my bedroom door. There was a hallway that shouldn't exist. Same yellow floors, same buzzing lights, and taped to the wall was a note in red chalk. Tape number 250, your turn to record. To this day, I still hear the knock 3 times every night, just before I fall asleep, and every time it's a little closer. I haven't opened the door yet, but I will. I always do.